14 other Alfred Deakin High School students have participated in the Oz Green Youth Leading the World program. We played loads of fun games and learnt so much around the planet's changes and how it is affecting us.
The first concern that we had was lack of education, when people aren't educated about the topic about climate change and stuff. And the second concern was people in power not caring because it's our future and they're not really caring as much as we would like them to. And our third concern was food security. Because of climate change, there's been extreme weather changes and deforestation, which is leading to food security. And our fourth concern was overpopulation. We can't, as said before, we have all of us to 3 planets, and we can't provide so much space for everyone because we only have 1 planet. And our fifth concern was economic reliance on fossil fuels, because Australia's relying on fossil fuels right now because it's our biggest export.
We've created a world where all life thrives, a haven for peace and equality. We all work together, the global community is united and holds shared values. Everyone is informed and has equal access to education. All people hold access to living necessities. There is no inequality. Everyone contributes to the wider community's needs. We have leaders from diverse backgrounds and experiences, and they have the best interests of the people and planet in mind. Money has no influence. The earth is no longer exploited. We have transitioned fully from fossil fuels to renewable sources. All species and ecosystems live in harmony with each other.
For our action plan, our issue of concern is a lot of companies that known people know about and buy from are trying to hide or intentionally hiding the unethical practices on how they manufacture products and where they get their resources from. And a lot of people that are buying from these companies don't actually know the extent of what they're supporting by buying their products. So our vibrant goal is to increase the transparency of big corporations and let people actually know what they're supporting by buying from big corporations. And our SMART goal is to hopefully to get media coverage to expose the unethical practices and raise awareness.
To do this, our first step was to collect evidence on the companies, and we're going to target big companies like Apple, Nike, and Nestle, and to collect evidence and tell people about things that they haven't heard. To do this, we're going to research trustworthy sources to find the unethical practices that they're doing, and we're going to compare and contrast our evidence and put the evidence together.
Once we have our evidence, we need to start arranging it structurally. We need to form our ideas into paragraphs. We need to write the report. As well as writing about what corporations to try to avoid if possible. We'll also provide alternatives so readers don't feel trapped by the market coverage a lot of bigger companies have. Once we've written the article and we've edited it, our first step will be to try to put it into our school newspaper system. It's called the Deakin Digest. That way we'll be able to spread it across the school much easier.
Our next step will be to simplify the information we have in the article by using a graphic design program such as Canberra or Picture Chart to create a poster. We'll have images and graphs on the poster to help back up our point, and also we'll also make it more visually appealing to the audience. Then hopefully we'll be able to distribute it around the school in a month.
Our next step will be contacting media companies. We can do this through emailing and calling as many media sources as we can get our hands on. Hopefully this community forum will be a good start, and we are working on trying to contact the Canberra Times. Through this contact, we can try and set meetings to talk about our proposal and possible publication.
Our last step is to raise awareness on our work and spread it so that people can become better informed on the issue.
There's a company in the fashion industry called Good On You. They do some really fantastic work about looking at the transparency of fashion companies. And there's now, basically it's like, figure out who's doing this and how can you learn from them. So I'll send through some stuff on that as well.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, lots to forward, you guys.
I'd also back up Tyler on that. I think there's a few companies doing similar things, so it'd be good to do some good scanning of what exists, but also consider not only just focusing on which companies aren't doing good stuff, but highlighting companies that are doing good things so that other companies know what to aspire towards.
My name's Maddie Diamond. I already know Sue, but it was nice to hear from the rest of you as well. So I am an environmental activist. I'm very passionate about climate action. I also am quite passionate about reducing waste. So I started a volunteer group called Trash Gather, and we pick up rubbish and get the community involved and make it a really fun social activity. And I also run a organisation called Sea Change, and we run community-based sustainability projects. So a whole range of things, trying to get people sort of living more sustainably and thinking about doing things collectively.
Hey, I'm Kate Dawson. I am a bit of a ring-in, I guess. I work for the Big Issue in Canberra. I manage the Big Issue in Canberra, and I'm employed by Woden Community Service. So in Canberra, the Big Issue is actually managed by Woden Community Service, and I'm here because I understand that there are people here interested in homelessness, which is dear to my heart. It's something that not only the Big Issue is involved in doing through our magazine and also some programs that we run, but also Woden Community Service has does a lot in the area of homelessness as well. We're responsible for One Link, which is a central intake agency in Canberra for people who are homeless.
We found that some workers in Bangladesh and Vietnam are paid 51 cents an hour. Other foreign countries also pay their workers very small wages, which is seen on our slideshow. When you compare these to the average Australian factory worker's wage of $25.97 an hour, the wage gap is extremely prominent.
So our vision goal is to create a minimum wage for foreign employees who manufacture products sold in Australia. Our SMART goal is to educate the population through signs that we'll put up in supermarkets, showing how much the workers are paid per hour for making certain products. Our first step in the action plan is to research the topic. And we've already done a bit of that, but we need to research what sort of products we want to do it on and what wages the employees are given for those products.
Our next step would be to create a format that could be used when showing employee wages on products. This would probably consist of just a piece of paper with the employees who created this were paid blank per hour. After this, we put up signs in different shops on products that we have researched in shops like Woolworths, Aldi and Coles on various types of products. We'd also share this template with the public so that they can print it out and put their own signs up in their local supermarket.
Lastly, we will try to talk to media outlets and spread the idea through social media and friends and other people. Through this, we would hope that others would take the same move and put up some signs in their local supermarkets or something as well. And hopefully big chains and companies will see these movements and start to include wages on their home brand products.
We hope this movement will lead to Australians realising the conditions that the people who make their everyday products go through.
With your labelling, you've got I've got this screen here, and it's got a list of numbers of dollars per hour, and then it's got photos of different people and their conditions who are getting these different wages. And for me, the labelling is way more effective when you include the face of a person in it rather than the number of dollars. So I would think about that in your labelling, to include the face of the victim, basically.
My main concern about climate change is the little to no action being taken. That while measures are in place, the government and the general public don't seem to understand or even care. Which is why I have decided to take action. Next step. Australia has signed up for the Paris Agreement, which is good. It was in 2016. The Paris Agreement deals with greenhouse gas emissions and global warming. However, Australia did not sign the Leaders' Pledge, a pledge to protect the natural environment of Australia. And Australia's got a really unique and diverse environment, and it's pretty bad that we're not doing anything to protect it, like a universal pledge to protect it. Yeah. Any measure that will protect the earth must be signed or joined. As you heard before, we had to make two different goals, a vibrant goal and a smart goal. My vibrant goal is to help Australia take more drastic steps towards stopping climate change. My smart goal is to talk to politicians and the public about climate change awareness and the taking action. These goals led me to my idea. My action plan is simple. I want to write informative and persuasive letters to politicians detailing the horror of climate change and its impact on everything. I want to relay the facts on a personal level. Finally, I want the politicians to sign a document saying they will do everything personally to help stop climate change, because even one signature or one response means that someone understands the message, and hope and faith in our earth is not lost. Thank you for listening.
I think, Amelia, that's a great, a sort of great set of goals to have. One of the things that you could also think about when you're writing those letters to politicians is that a lot of the arguments that we hear against climate change action is that it's going to cost jobs, it's going to cost employment, and there's a lot of evidence out there that actually shows that that's not the case. So creating a story around some of the positive outcomes of actually taking action would be just as powerful, I think, as actually highlighting some of the issues that the planet faces and the challenges of climate change. So I'd encourage you to use sort of both of those arguments or both of those ways of highlighting climate change as an issue in your letter writing.
Okay.
Seconding Stephen and Nick there. So there's an organisation called Future of Fish, which have done this collaboration in the fish industry. So it's a really good place you can look for inspiration from. And then from Stephen's point there is like, what's the cost of not doing something? How can you highlight what's the cost of not going forward with renewables, for example?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'll just add one last little thing. I think sometimes when you're trying to change people's minds, it's good to try to find common ground with them, even though you might be very frustrated and this is a really urgent time. And I think that your energy is really great. But I think sometimes saying no one's taking action might alienate people to an extent that it might be harder to create a consensus or get them to come along with you for the ride. So I would consider making your language a little bit more, or trying to find common ground in your letter writing.
Our vibrant goal is to end or reduce homelessness in Canberra.
Our smart goal is to raise and money to Canberra's homeless support organisations.
We plan to raise and donate money to Canberra's homeless support organisations. These organisations include Oz Harvest and Big Issue. We hope to collaborate with them soon. We plan to raise money for food, backpack beds, sleeping bags, storage container homes and care packages for the homeless.
The first step we will take is contact Big Issue and Oz Harvest for speakers. Then the speakers might be able to speak in our fundraisers and campaigns. Homeless organisation. The second step is that we will organise fundraisers at major shopping centres in Canberra, including Civic, Deakin, Woyo and Canberra. The third step is that we can raise and donate money for food, backpack beds, sleeping bags storage container homes, and care packages for the homeless. Our fourth step is that we can create flyers on a website to inform people about our cause. And finally, our last step is we shall raise awareness of the severity of this issue. For example, homelessness can lead to more crimes and mental illnesses.
But think about not just about working with the communities, but think about some businesses that might actually be able to help you in that fundraising exercise. So don't feel shy to actually contact businesses and say, hey, can you help us? We're raising funds, we're raising awareness, and we'd like you to help.
So thinking about some of the messaging is having some data around the causes that lead to the homelessness, and bring that awareness to people of like, how do they end up on the streets in the first place, and can we do better at helping them to prevent that? So, and that could be where some of the bigger businesses can help.
Is that these guys are in a unique position to think about how they might help with the youth homelessness issue, because people of your age group need that support at school. So there may be things that you could do to help in terms of supporting the sort of people of your age group who are homeless as well.
Today we'll be telling you about our idea to start a community garden and hopefully get some feedback about what we can improve on.
The issue of concern is that not enough people are getting fresh and locally sourced foods and produce where we live. So to encourage people to buy more locally produced produce is to have a community garden where people come in and have fresh produce.
The vibrant goal for this action plan is for most of the community to rethink what foods they buy and hopefully encourage people to eat more locally sourced foods instead of buying packaged foods.
Our SMART goal is after constructing and expanding on the community gardens, we will then encourage other community members to grow vegetables and then pick them to in the community garden.
Our action plan. Our action plan is to first research about some other local community gardens and see how they started up or what we can do to expand on them. Then we would need to find a place to create a garden or community garden that we could expand on. We could do this by asking local councils or by researching the best gardens and places. After that, we would need to build the garden. We'd just go to maybe like Bunnings and buy some garden beds, seeds and soil, and then construct them.
We would need to get people to contribute. So one way we could do it is to get people involved is by going to local media outlets and posting information with them about how you can contribute and join the community garden or gardens if we have multiple. And another way is that we could get people to join or contribute to the garden is by making leaflets and letters and then going around and putting them into letter boxes and front doors and stuff.
And there's probably an opportunity to do something about getting young people involved in community gardens. I know that's an initiative that's underway with some Youth Feeding the World young youth here in Bellingen, and creating a space that within our community gardens here where young people are welcome and have some input and control and involvement in it. So again, I guess it's picking up on that same issue. But I also want to give you some encouragement of just don't underestimate the power of youth-driven initiative. We had a group of young people here organise a program called Festival for Our Future, and we thought we'd have about 50 people come up to the community garden to participate, and we had 500. And when we asked them why they came, they said it's because it's a youth initiative.
Our SMART goal is to create a community garden in Hughes.
And our vibrant goal was to create a sustainable community space that gives people something to do and provides fresh produce for people and helps the environment through composting and also people getting their food from local sources. Our action plan was to design a garden that's actually doable and we can actually do it, and to find a space to put it.
And we need to talk to local council about putting it to action and kind of where we're allowed to do it.
And we also needed to get the resources needed to build it and so that people can actually use it.
And we need to construct the garden and kind of let the community know about it. So we need to kind of find some volunteers who can help and kind of just look after it. And then we need to maintain the garden. And then we need to kind of find a way to kind of advertise it, kind of so that everyone kind of knows it's there.
There's a long history of very successful gardens being established in schools associated with Youth Leading the World in multiple locations. In fact, if you're interested in connecting up, there's some very cool stuff happening in Sierra Leone. At the moment, that's about young people getting permaculture systems going in schools. So understand that you are part of a global community and that lots of people are thinking the same things and have been very successful in doing that. So good on you.
My name is Lavanya Singh and my topic is on environmental addition to the Deakin Digest. As I said in another group I'm part of, this is the school's newspaper basically. And we have a lot of topics in our school newspaper, but we're missing a topic on the environment. And I think that's a huge concern because it makes it look like Alfred doesn't care about the environment. There's a lot to talk about in the environment and we just don't have any section for it. So I thought I'd add one. I'd write a section for it. My vibrant goal isn't like too crazy because it's just a school newspaper, but I'm hoping to make maybe some sort of committee or like get a group of people that will continue working on it even once I leave the school. So it becomes like ingrained in the school, so I get our school's environment group involved as well. But my SMART goal is just getting one article done whenever I can, because the time frame is a bit off because it's nearing the end of the year, so there might not be time to add a new section to the newspaper. My first step is to email the school, which I've already done. I've emailed the head of the Deakin Digest on whether or not I can write a piece and like if she's open to discussion for it later. She hasn't gotten back to me yet, but I only messaged her this morning, so I'll wait for her response. After that, after she's given me the heads up, I'd like to discuss more, kind of how long she wants each section to be written, if it's for every digest or like once every 3 of them, way to be in the middle. If she wants to focus on that kind of stuff. And after that, I can start drafting. I have a couple ideas for my draft. If there's not already a section on Ausgreen happening, I was hoping maybe I could interview some of the students who have already presented to you, and I could ask them what they're doing and then write about that. If not, there's plenty of other stuff to talk about, like what's happening in Canberra. What about the committees? There were some children who were talking about those gardens. One of my ideas was to just go and interview people who are in the garden and see why they go there. It's kind of to show, because students get most of their information from the school, so it's best if I have a school-led information source to tell the students how they can be more environmentally friendly. And I'm hoping to get it in maybe by end of this year, maybe by next year. And then I hope for the rest of my high school experience to keep writing for the Deakin Digest and environmental section and get the school's environmental group involved so they can continue it once I leave school, because this is my second last year.
I'm writing my own work, and I've learnt a lot about writing for environmental education, and I think that will be what determines whether we succeed or not in this environmental battle. Is does the population have enough environmental literacy that they understand why we're doing this stuff? And it is really hard to write well. It's easy to write something, but to write well and to connect with the reader is a lot harder than it looks. And I've gone back to looking at the way Indigenous people tell stories here and how they teach about the environment, and they tell stories that are just fun to listen to. And there's all these great messages underneath the stories. There's lots of layers, and there are characters, and animals are characters. And if you were to write that down, it becomes a page turner. So rather than bombarding people with all of these facts, that if you tell a story and teach them something, you'll go a lot further. So that's my advice, and good luck writing.
It's great thinking about writing a piece, a literature piece, but think about all of the other medium that you could use to actually communicate this message. So you could use, you can use vlogs, you can use blogs, there's a whole range of things that you could think about to actually engage a broader range of the community. And there could be some budding sort of artists there, actors or actresses, and people who've got all of these skills that you could come together and really think about a way of getting that message out.
If you write something for the Deakin Digest, it doesn't mean it only has to exist there. So you can post it on social media, you can post it on a blog, you can use that in lots of different places and get lots of people looking at it. And my other thing I would say, don't put it off to next year. Go over the weekend, write one page, just get it out there. Because all this is about practice. And if you wait till next year, you're just going to be thinking about it, worrying about it, and you probably won't do it. So just do it. But rather than asking Mrs. Brack about writing it, write it and then say, hey, look, I've written this thing. Can we put this in the paper?
Don't be afraid to be ambitious, and don't be afraid to back yourself, because your energy is super great. So while you've got that fire, try to achieve it now.